This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
Hello there, and welcome back. You are listening to the Monday Morning Break. Live today on February 10th. And I'm your host, Kanduk Kutik.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
So hello everyone, good day to you. Thanks for listening in. As always, your support is truly appreciated here at Teachers Talk Radio. Please do continue to support us by not just listening in, but by recommending us to your friends, your colleagues, anyone who you think would enjoy listening to our shows. We're live today. Well, at the moment we're live, 10th of February. I'm broadcasting live from Germany.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Meet USA Study, your one-stop platform for guiding students through their college application journey. Access up-to-date resources on universities, programs, scholarships, and application requirements, all in one place. Get easy-to-access tools, personalized timelines, expert tips, application templates, and exclusive webinars with admissions officers to help your student stand out. Visit usastudy.co.uk or call Phil at 0800 612 8271 because every student deserves the opportunity to shine with USA Study.
So I'm just going to pick up on the back of that message from our sponsor. Every student deserves to shine. And likewise, every teacher deserves to shine. Now, as you, dear listeners, show your support to us, right, by recommending us, by subscribing and listening to our shows, this support helps us to grow, to shine, and this support drives us to develop and create content that reaches as many teachers as possible. And that's how your support helps us. That's how your support helps us shine. And support is actually what we're going to be talking about today, in particular, supporting teachers. A year ago, I was introduced to a metaphor of teaching. I thought it was an interesting metaphor. It described teaching as an egg crate profession. An egg crate, a tray of eggs. In Germany, you get these cardboard trays and you get either 10 eggs or 6 eggs. Baffles me really because I would have thought, if you want a few eggs, you buy a tray of 6. And then if you want more than 6, you double that, it's 12, but clearly not, it's 6 or 10. But these eggs, never mind the numbers, but these eggs, they're in these trays, they're, in their individual slots. And teachers have been described as the individual eggs in these egg trays, and each egg is separated from the other. And this describes the isolation of teachers from each other. And in this metaphor, we're all working in our own classrooms and rarely interact with other teachers. Of course, this is an extreme case because there'll be teachers who go to lunch with colleagues and there'll be staff days and there'll be meetings. But nevertheless, many teachers develop their skills through their own classroom practice, through trial and error in their own practice, and really less through sought out collaboration with other teachers. And because we spent most of our working hours in our classrooms with our own students, teaching according to lesson plans that we've developed and dealing with our own problems with our students, we may feel isolated, very much like an individual egg in an egg crate or tray. And sometimes this isolation may, make us feel that we're unsupported. So the question that I want to tackle, the question that me and my guest Anne are going to tackle today is, what can we do to reduce this feeling, this sense of isolation, and find the support we need? And before we look at that, we have to remember, as I pose the question, what can we do? There'll be people who say, well, speak to your colleagues or speak to your head of section. But the thing about teaching, and I think perhaps many other professions really, is that, teachers, if they're struggling, they don't really want to let their colleagues or managers within the same school know. It doesn't necessarily mean that, we as teachers, we bottle things up. But I think because we've been isolated for so long, it becomes hard to open up with the other eggs in the same crate. So where then can and do teachers find support or fellowship? Well, there are many different communities of practice out there, and what we're focusing on today is the Teaching Association. Now, there are many teaching associations out there. There are general teaching associations for anyone who's involved in teaching. There are specific ones. I recently went to the BET show in London, and there was 2 stands on either side of us, and they were both, one was for head teachers, and I can't remember what the other one was. And then, there's specific ones. For example, if you were interested in language testing and you just put in a search on your favorite search engine, Teaching Association for Language Testing, and you'll get a couple of hits, I'm sure. There are big international associations and smaller ones at national and regional levels. But so we've kind of figured out, right, for support, for fellowship, teaching associations are the place to be. But what exactly are teaching associations, and how do they support us? Well, my guest today is an English teacher in Tanzania, and as I was planning this, I was actually wondering, have we ever had a guest from Tanzania? I think not. Well, my guest is Anne Kabongo, and she's going to share her story with us. And Anne, I have unmuted you. Anne, welcome to Teachers Talk Radio. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Kuti.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to be here today.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so glad you could make it. This has been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. I love your radio voice. You've got a perfect radio voice, and maybe next time you could join us as a host.
Oh, thank you.
Think about it. But Anne, first things first. Mm-hmm. You were at school today, right? You were at school. Were you at school? You were, right?
Yes.
Tell us about your school and what you do. Just tell us.
Okay. I am a public secondary school teacher. It's a rural public school here in Tanzania in Manyara region. And I'm teaching English language here and literature in English. I've been teaching here for I've been a teacher for 13 years, and I've been in this school almost for 7 years. Yes.
Wow. How big are your classes? How many students do you have?
We have a bit large classes in our school. For example, I teach the Form 4s. There are about 94 students, but they are being divided into 2 classrooms. One with almost 60 and the other one with the other quarter, 30-something for literature. Yes.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, but your whole cohort, so your whole Form 4 cohort is about 94 students.
Yes, the total number of the cohort, it's 94, true.
Okay. And how many levels, how many cohorts do you have? So do you start at year 1? No, you're a secondary school teacher. So in Tanzania, when do they start secondary school?
after completing primary school, when they are starting for age 13, they start to come to secondary schools. There where I meet them. And in secondary school here in Tanzania, we have like 4 cohorts, starting from Form 1 to Form 4. And then they go to high school. Here in Tanzania, we don't treat high school like people there at Germany and other parts of the world. So in our curriculum, we have divided them into 2. It's secondary school, like lower level, and then they go to high school.
Ah, okay. And I think I just lost you there. So four levels, 4 years, 4 cohorts of secondary school from age 13. Whoops, we have just lost Anne. So just to recap while we're waiting for Anne to come back. So Anne teaches at a rural secondary school in Tanzania, and she teaches English language as well as English literature. And Anne was just sharing. Well, hey, Anne is back.
Yes.
And Anne was. I was just repeating for our listeners, and Anne was sharing that for Form 4, for example, she's got 94 students, and they're not taught all at one go, but they're divided. So you've got 30 in one and 60 something in the other. And when they're in Form 4, so they would be what, 16 or 17? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And so they do Form 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's secondary school, and then after that they go somewhere else. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, they go to high school for Form 5 and Form 6. High school, we in our secondary school level, we've divided them into 2, the O level and the high school. So after finishing Form 4, they start for national examination. Then they go, yes, the ones that will pass, they will go to high school. Others, their education just end up there because they couldn't pass and go to further studies. So either if they are lucky, their parents have money, they can go to some colleges.
Okay.
Others, they just end up there and find some job, something to do, and then life continues.
I like how you say that life continues. So
Yeah.
so my understanding then is that compulsory education ends at the end of Form 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually quite similar and to what I've experienced in Singapore. So I went to school in Singapore, and we had primary school, and then we have 4 years of secondary school. And we have the final national exams, right? And students, we have different streams and different pathways. And back when I was in school, you could do a 5-year secondary school or a 4-year secondary school, and then you do those exams. And then, like you say those who pass, but I think in Singapore what we had was you achieve a certain grade, certain marks, certain score, and you can then go to different pathways for your what we call post-secondary education, and we call it junior college. And junior college could be 2 years or could be 3 years. And then you can go to different forms of further education or higher education. So it's quite similar. I think it's
exactly
the colonial heritage, maybe.
Yeah,
because
true.
Yeah. Okay. So just now at the beginning of the show, Anne, I was talking about teaching being an egg crate profession, that we're all the little individual eggs in the tray, and we're all the same, and we do our own thing, and we seldom interact with each other. To what extent is your job, your setting, where you are, an egg crate? Would you agree with the metaphor that I kind of mentioned? Are you an egg in an egg crate where you are?
It is 50-50, yes. To some extent, I agree with the metaphor, and being a literature teacher, yes, I can agree with that. Yeah. Yes, so to some extent, it is true, but as you know, as teachers, as you've mentioned, like we need to diversify, we need to see life into different perspective, you know. So yes, so to some extent it is true, but to some extent also, as teachers we need to expand what
Yeah.
has been, yes, taken to us as teachers.
Yeah, so we need to expand, right? Expand, you know, move,
Extend, yes.
extend, move out of our little, you know, section in the egg tray.
Exactly.
And I know that you have done that. Now, you've not crashed into another egg and become scrambled egg. No, you've not. That hasn't happened
No.
to you. No, but you've expanded, you've broken down those walls that kind of isolate you from others. What led you to do that?
Since in the beginning, I had a growth mindset. So to me, there are some inner driving forces that drove me to move from where I am, to go and being somewhere else that no one expected me to be. So I can say like the inner drive, yeah, having a growth mindset, seeing myself excelling and going beyond limitations, all of those, when I just add them up, they contributed for me to reach where I am today.
I think that's important, I suppose. If you, I hadn't thought of it like that. You know, that having it's the growth mindset that drives you, that pushes you to do more and to reach, right? As one would say. I mean, I'm gonna just play this whole thing. You're the literature teacher, to reach for the stars, right?
Yeah.
And because of this growth mindset, then you've had a couple of stations and you've ended up in a teaching association. How did that happen? So you can have the growth mindset, right? But
yes,
but then if you sit at home in your own egg crate, it doesn't get you very far. So
yeah, it's true, as you've said. Yes, I had a growth mindset, but I needed something else. I needed someone, or I needed to connect to reach to where I wanted to see myself reaching. So yes, after having this growth mindset, then I was like searching, okay, where can I start? Where will be my starting point as a teacher? So yeah, so it happens that I was connected. I went to work somewhere. I was placed by the government to work for a just short period of time. And then I was connected with this teacher. Then he started telling me things that I never thought they existed, you know.
Okay.
So yes, so through this connection, through this meeting with this teacher, it was like a turnaround for me. It was like an eye opening for me, like, okay, so these things really happen. So it was what drove me. And then with this meeting with this teacher, then it blended well, and then it worked and made me who I am today. And like that's how I joined Teachers Professional Associations. Yes, I started going into different online programs. Others, I started applying for different programs. My network grew from there, and then I started meeting other colleagues, other teachers. Then I broadened up my mind. So from there, from the connection, from the meeting, there is where things started changing. So as you've said, it is true that yes, as teachers, we need to interact. We need to meet. Yes, we need to meet new teachers. Like, for example, today, I'm here in your show because at some point, me and you, we connected, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't be here today if we haven't been met somewhere. So the result of our interaction, the result of the network we had between me and you now have come out for us today to have this show together. So it has to start somewhere. Like
Right.
what I've mentioned, yes, connection or interaction with teachers, it's everything. Yes.
Okay.
It's
Let's take it. Sorry to interrupt. I can hear you really
okay.
excited about talking
Mhm.
about this. So let's kind of take it a couple of steps back. We're gonna put our car in reverse. And so you said you met someone who then introduced you, who talked to you about things that
Yes.
you could do to help you grow, right?
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is that it takes a kind of person, doesn't it? I think you need to be really open to be willing to do that, to like, it's like for me to reach out to you, for example, and to say, hey, and I think you've got an interesting story to tell, or for you to reach out to me, right, and to say, hey, Kanduk, you've been talking about so many things, but let's talk about this. It needs a kind of personality, a kind of confidence to go into the unknown.
It's
right
true.
right
Yes.
So how did you, I don't know, is it in your nature? Are you by nature this kind of brave, adventurous person? I mean, I remember when I first joined my teaching association, my local one here, that was years and years ago. I was just a silent, quiet observer. Yeah.
Yeah, as I've explained earlier, is that I'm a person who loves to learn from other teachers. I'm a person who loves to interact, associate with other teachers. Yes, so if I join a professional association, yes, you need to take some time, learn what is going on there, take a pause, start starting interacting with people slowly, and then with time you build confidence. Now you can start contributing if they are doing anything, having your input, start having small connection, and then with time it takes you somewhere. Yes, so after joining the professional associations, I took time, I learned for some time, and then I started being active, because if I'm somewhere in whatever I do or anywhere I am, I like being active and taking roles. That's me. That's my nature. So I started learning about different activities in the professional association. And then I said, okay, now it's time for me to take roles. And then I started slowly, and then I become the regional coordinator in our region. And then you see, now I advanced from being just a normal member to taking leadership roles in the association. So this helps me. Wherever you are, yes, you start slowly, you learn, but also as time goes on, you need to take part. You also need to do something, because in these associations, they depend on people more or much. So if we are not working and we are not doing anything in them, we are going to be selfish, because there are people who did something as founders, or who did something before us, and then they pushed forward. Now when you join, it's now your turn to take roles from where you came from, and then push it further. So yes, we need to do as I've said. After joining, you have to take roles and see where you're going to take yourself to next.
Okay, I like what you've said there. So, excuse me. So
Okay.
that we acknowledge that when a person joins first any community of practice, any either whether professional learning network or teaching association, when you come in first as a newcomer, a certain period of, say, observation, right?
Yes.
A certain period of orientation, of observation is acceptable. And what you're saying is that the you reap the most benefit through engagement, isn't it? So not just observing. So which is what I did. I think back 2 years ago,
Yeah.
at least 15, 20 years ago, when I was first a member of my little regional teaching association. I was really an observer, and at one
Mm.
point, I think at one point my membership lapsed because I felt, well, I wasn't gaining anything, right? So,
Okay.
I mean, we
Mm.
get our newsletters. A lot of teaching associations, right? They have a newsletter for their members. They
Mm.
run events and things like
Mm.
that. But because I was an observer, and my engagement was low, I
Mm.
didn't. I, I didn't. I felt that I
Yeah.
wasn't gaining, right, from
Mm.
membership. Um,
Mm.
so you said you observed, and after a while you got involved, you got engaged.
Yes.
What were some of the first things you did? Or, if we imagine that there's people listening who are thinking, well, okay, I've been in my
Mm.
teaching association for a long time, and okay, now I'm listening to this radio show, and the speakers are
Mm.
saying it's time to get
Mm.
engaged, or engage with the association for maximum
Mm.
benefit. What were some of the
Yes.
things that you did initially as part of engagement? How did you engage initially,
Okay.
actively?
Yeah, thank you for that good question. Yes, after I became a member of this community of practice, I started learning. In these teaching associations, there are different, they kind of associate, or what can I say? They collaborate with different programs and other countries, like what I've mentioned. So I started learning, make sure I advance myself personally. So I started getting enrolled into different courses. I started learning. I have this tendency of doing an analysis as a teacher, like, okay, in this year, what are the areas that I need to improve as a teacher? Maybe education technology, in curriculum, in teaching methodologies. So I I do some analysis, and then I come and analyze the stuff. Okay, I need to improve into these areas. So after having, or after observing the areas that I need to upgrade or to improve, then I started learning the courses that were offered into different causes from this association. So that was the involvement number one. And
Ah,
some of the
participation. Sorry, I'm so rude, I know. So participation. So not just lurking, not just observing, but to
yes, but to
partake in something.
participate.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and I started involved into webinars. Then they organized, there are some programs we are applying. I applied. So inside those programs, I was active. I was asking questions, listening, giving my own experience from the topic. So the leaders of the organizers from the association, they were like following my steps. I didn't know that. So to them, it was like I was a potential participant in the association, because they saw me with an extra eye, and then they say, no, we need this teacher because she's active, the way she's involved with the association. And I was excited, because to me it was something that I've worked almost for like 9 years, 8 years. I was not experiencing what I was experiencing after joining this association. So I took it seriously, being involved, participating into different programs, the ones online. Yes. So the self-paced program, the ones that they were, everything that they were saying, I was like devoting my time and participating. So with time, I grew up professionally. And then, yes, I started applying those things into my classroom. To me, it was not,
Okay.
it was not just the matter of learning. Yes, I've learned, but now I took it into the other step. Now, yes, as I was practicing them, as I was transforming my classroom, with time, I saw my students, they were active, they were engaged. Our connection with the students grew up. We were like me and my students now, we became like a one strong family. Our bond grew very much, and they
Yeah.
started excelling. So I was like, oh my God, the transformation was not on me personally, but also through my classroom. Our students, I'm teaching in a rural school. So when I started teaching before joining this association, students, yes, they were performing, but not that much. But I started seeing a transition. You're teaching a class, and then when the students go for exam, the whole class, like every number of students I teach, they pass with flying colors. No, in our rural areas, in public schools in Tanzania, it is hard to teach students and make them all pass because of different reasons. Some they are not motivated. Some they have different challenges. So to teach them and make them all pass, it is something that we don't take it for granted. So our school now was doing well, not only in the classroom, but we also transformed the school. The school now also in the national exam, we used to have failures, students who fail and scored 0, like they've done nothing with the exam. Now in like for the past 4 years, after transforming year 4, year 3, year 2, year 1, even just recently last month the exams came out, our school had no failure students who were sat for exams, and
Wow.
some,
Complete
yes,
100% pass. 100% passes.
100% pass. Yes, you can
Yay.
imagine. Yeah, so it started from the subject, now it has shifted to the school. So to me was, oh my God, this is wow. When you
This
come to a
is
when you
very
come to a
wow.
district, yes, and you mention those best teachers, you'll find my name there. So to me, it was like, oh my God, this is something very nice, you see. So it's transformed me, my classroom, and the school as well.
Yeah.
So
So that's
yes.
actually quite interesting because the people who don't know very much about teaching, and possibly people who are not teachers themselves, they think, or people with a very narrow mindset just think, okay, you've done your teacher training, now you're qualified to teach, you go teach, and that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
All the tools and all the strategies you need to know for how to teach effectively, you've already been taught. What you're telling us is that, okay, so first of all, you have to have this growth mindset. That means you have to understand, you have to recognize that teaching is something where ideally a good teacher is somebody who's always looking how to do better, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And that's part of the growth mindset. And then you've got with your growth mindset, you joined your local teaching association, and after observing, you took part in courses, but not just, and I've had this, I've been moderator in quite a few professional development events with different teaching associations, and I've always noticed that there are people, they register, and sometimes it's always the same people who are registered, and then they come into the webinar, and you've got the usual suspects who are always interactive,
Yeah.
who engage, who discuss. When we as moderators or the webinar leader, if they pose a question, then you have people who answer, but there's always going to be a bunch of people who
the same people
who are there but not there. Do you know what I mean? And
yes.
I know myself. I think I was guilty of that once, and then I felt really guilty after I did it. This was during COVID, so I let a webinar run in the background, but I was making lunch, and that I think that's one of the things that's maybe not great with online webinars, because we forget etiquette, right? I mean, sure, people do it in face-to-face as well. Sometimes you go into a seminar room and you've got your presenter at the front, and maybe you're sitting at the back, but what you're doing is maybe you're playing on your phone, or you're not paying attention. But I think online, I've realized that, and that's why I've only ever done it once, because then I thought, oh, that's really bad behavior. You turn off your screen, I mean,
Yeah.
your camera is not on and you just sit there. And then I
Mm,
found that I didn't gain anything from that. So what's the point? Right?
mm,
And I know many
mm,
people who do that, who then say, "Oh, can I have a certificate?" Because they were in there. And I can understand that in some contexts, the certificate is very important. But what you've
mm,
done, right? What you've done is you've actually described one step further, where you were saying that
mm,
through your active participation, so there's two things that happened out of it. The first
mm,
thing is that through your active participation,
mm,
you implemented or you tried out some of the things
mm.
that you've gained or that you were introduced to in the seminar, and you
Yes.
saw that these things were effective in your own teaching, or you saw how it, to use your words, how it transforms your teaching. I think that
Yes.
really is the difference between what we learn in our teacher education and what
Mm,
we learn on the job through
mhm,
attending webinars, through attending, workshops that, like if we're teaching and then we discover, oh, this is something tricky. So maybe if I just think off the top of my head, dealing
mm,
with neurodiverse students, and if suddenly see, oh, there's a workshop coming up and it's online and it's about working with neurodiverse students, I can link it to my, current work experience, and I can then say, oh, I'd like to do, attend this course, learn something from it, and then
mm.
try it out, right? And
Yeah.
that's the one thing that's happened for you, when you took this a step further. And the second thing you said is
Mm,
that, this engagement, and it comes back similarly to what I was saying also about some people, you kind of notice, and that's what's happened.
mm.
The association has noticed your presence. It's not a disruptive presence, right? It's, oh, there's this person we've got here, this teacher who's engaged, who's interested, and
Mm.
maybe, we could have this teacher join us as a volunteer.
Yes.
And that's happened for you. um,
Mm.
Before we listen then to your volunteer story, we're going to just catch up with the education news. Won't take long.
Okay.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
Schools Week reports that the government has abandoned a plan to abolish a rule capping the proportion of pupils oversubscribed free schools can select on faith at 50%. The previous Conservative government consulted last year and also included a plan to remove the block on new faith special schools. However, in an update from the Department for Education, the government has said it will not be moving forward with these proposals at this time. The statement also says they received 3,668 consultation responses, and that 66% of respondents disagreed or strongly disagreed with both proposals. The cap had particularly hindered plans to open Catholic free schools because canon law prevents them from turning away pupils on the basis of their Catholic faith. The government's bill, if passed, would remove the presumptions that new schools must be academies. The Department for Education said this meant faith groups will be able to put forward proposals in response to an invitation from the local authority. The director of the Catholic Education Service welcomed the changes to the bill. The BBC covered the latest research findings around pupils and mobile phones, leading with this headline on its news website: "Mobile ban in schools not improving grades or behaviour, study suggests." The first study in the world to look at school phone rules alongside measures of pupil health and education was undertaken by the University of Birmingham, was peer-reviewed, and its findings published in The Lancet. It compared 1,227 students and their 30 different schools' rules about smartphone use. The paper says schools restricting smartphone use did not seem to be seeing their intended improvements on health, well-being and focus in lessons. However, the research did find a link between more time on phones and social media and worse mental well-being and mental health, less physical activity, poorer sleep, lower grades, and more disruptive classroom behaviour. Full details of the report and the study and the responses from a range of schools, pupils and the Department for Education can be found on the BBC News website. The BBC in Scotland also reports on education news as it covers a story about data from a controversial survey which asked school pupils about their sexual experiences had been advertised for use by external researchers without participants' explicit consent. The Scottish Government Health and Wellbeing Census hit headlines in 2021 after asking highly personal questions of children as young as 14. Parents said they were not told the nature of the questions and were not asked to agree that their child's information could be shared. In the end, one half of Scotland's 32 councils pulled out of the survey, but 16 councils did go ahead. The survey was completed online, and the survey form said that information would not be shared with your teacher or your family. However, the data is now being offered publicly to external researchers via a website for a charity created by the Scottish Government in 2021, with a stated aim of making it easier to access data around health and well-being. According to the BBC report, the Information Commissioner's Office warned the Scottish Government in 2023 that the way they had gathered, stored and transferred the data created potential risks that children could be identified by third parties. A Scottish Government spokesperson said, all participants in the survey had the opportunity to skip questions they did not wish to answer. Parents have said that when they found out their children had taken part in the survey and understood the questions they'd been asked, including about penetrative sex and contraception use, they'd asked for their child's data to be scrubbed. They were told that this would not be possible. Additional detail and response from academics, schools and parents can be found on the BBC Scotland website. In Northern Ireland, media outlets have reported on criticism for Queen's University Belfast after its decision to open a campus in India was announced. This announcement comes after it said there would be 270 job cuts in Northern Ireland. The University and College Union, which represents many lecturers and support staff, described the move as scandalous. At the time the job cuts were announced, BBC News Northern Ireland said it had seen documents which suggested Queen's was facing a deficit of more than £11 million. UCU General Secretary Joe Grady said, "It is scandalous that QUB is putting massive amounts of money into a new campus halfway around the world, all the while axing jobs in Belfast." Speaking on Good Morning Ulster, another UCU representative said the university had not provided a justified business case. QUB defended its decision to open the campus in India, saying, "We need to balance our income." Finally, Schools Week reports that Education Mutual, who provide insurance cover for thousands of schools, will now cover legal costs for staff who want to sue social media trolls. It comes after Bridget Phillipson said she was concerned about the rise in parental complaints and staff time they take up. Education Mutual will start to cover all its member schools' legal fees should they want to challenge a troll for libelling staff online, including sending cease and desist letters to people who post libel. Some unions already offer this type of support, but not all. Further details can be found on the Schools Week website. This has been Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
So, welcome back, everybody. So that was a lot of news. Most interesting for me really is the one about teachers being able to sue social media trolls. But that's not what we're talking about. Welcome, everybody who's just joined us in the meantime. We are talking about teaching associations and how they provide us with opportunities for growth, personal and professional growth. I have with me Anne Kabongo, secondary school teacher in a rural school in Tanzania. For those of you who've just joined us or who are listening in, I have a question for you. Anne and I were just talking about engagement with our teaching association, and really actually engaging with your teaching association is the best way for you to actually reap the benefits of being a member rather than just observing and watching the proceedings from far away. My question, and if you'd like to just share your input, my question is, are you a member of your own teaching association or a teaching association wherever you are? And if yes, how have you engaged with your association? In prior to the news, Anne was sharing with us how her engagement as a participant in different webinars and workshops have had an effect on her own classroom practice, on her own classroom teaching, and how she's actually been able to see this transformation, to see the impact that her learning has had on her practice. And now we're going to talk about a different type of engagement, so not so much engaging with what's on offer, but engaging as a volunteer. So, a different level of engagement. Anne, tell us what you do in return for other teachers in your association and for your association. And well, first of all, how did you even, end up being a volunteer? Oh, wait, hang on, Anne, stop. I've muted you. Silly me. Okay, start again. So how did you end up being a volunteer?
Thank you. As I've mentioned, with this growth mindset, I started, after joining this association, first, as I've mentioned, I started learning myself, improving myself, but I came to realize that in our chapter here in Manyara, this association was not having its practices yet. So it was in other regions in Tanzania, but in our region, Manyara, it was not opened yet. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I had to search for the leaders, for the HQ leaders, and then ask them if they could come and open our chapter in our region. What can I say? When I was doing so, after searching the leaders, I come to realize that the leaders also had a plan to come and open a chapter in our region. So we collaborated together. We worked in a certain project. They came, they trained the teachers, and I became the trainer for the first time. I was just given the modules like 2 days before the training, and then they told me that these are what you're going to train your fellow teachers, and we're not going to tell them like it's your first time. So do your best, and you're going to be the trainer in the training. So I had to work hard, go through the modules. I went to the training, so I was training them, and they were not aware that it was my first time. So everyone was amazed, like, oh, where is this trainer coming from? They didn't realize I was their fellow teacher from the same region.
But how did you feel? I mean, that's such a lot of responsibility. That's such a big responsibility being placed on you just like that. How did you feel when they told you, do this, please?
Yes, I was nervous. I was scared. I was shaking. Everything you can just say. I was like, no, me, I can't do. I need some time. They said, no, you are going to train them. And I was given like 2 topics to train in that trainings. And I was like, oh my God. But they told me like, you have to do this. You're going to do this. There's no any other trainer that is going to come except you and the fellow leader from headquarters. So I had to do the task. That was my first task, and I'm so glad that the feedback were very positive. Yes, the participants, they were saying like they were enjoying what I've trained them. They liked me, and then at the end of the training, it was revealed to them that I am their fellow English teacher from the same region, but I just joined the association earlier before them. And
Yeah.
then, yes, we did an election there. And yes, I was selected as the regional coordinator for the association. So all the teachers vote me in. They couldn't vote me out. So yeah.
They couldn't vote you
Yes.
out. Well,
Yes. So
they had no chance.
that's how that's how I became the regional coordinator of the association. Yes.
Okay.
Since
But,
2022 up to now. Yes, I'm still
Okay.
taking the role.
But that's a very interesting experience, I think, because I mean there's just a whole different type of how would you say? I mean, you know, as teachers, we're just used to teaching our own students, right? We teach our own class, and they're all younger than us, and they trust us, and you know, we have a certain authority. You know, if we say do this, they do this, and if we say, hey, you know, what you're doing is not great or not correct, they trust us because of the position that we're in. But I think there's just something for me to run a webinar or a workshop for my peers, you know, the way you had to do it, right? It's just a different level of wow, because you know, it's like you're standing there and you don't know, you know, will they accept what you're saying?
Yes.
I mean, obviously they don't have to say, hey, what you're saying is all true and yay, you know, all hail, and what you're saying is great, and we'll do this from now. But you know, there's a different kind of criticality, isn't it? When we attend a workshop that's run by one of our peers, we think, oh yeah, really, hang on, where did you learn that from? So I think there's a lot of pressure there to present yourself as credible. And then of course there's also that imposter syndrome where you think, right, oh my goodness, why have they chosen me to do this, or I'm not good enough. And I think another challenge is if you're running a webinar and you know that in your audience you've got people who've got many more years of experience than you, right? And you've got a lot of fans here, I have to say. So Zeno is from Tanzania, and Hadija says we celebrate you. I just thought I'd say that. Lots of fans here, they're all celebrating you for what you do, and also this recognition, I think, and this recognition from your peers, that's also helped you grow professionally, I think, and personally, because you know, if while I'm sitting here listening to you, you just, you know, you're oozing that confidence. You know, I've got somebody here who's just shared that they're a member of a teaching association, and they engage through networking and using social media platforms, right? And that's something that we were talking about, or rather, actually, you said it, that you know, joining a teaching association isn't just, you know, pay your membership fees and then sit and wait for the newsletter and sit and wait for a webinar, but it's about connecting and interacting.
Exactly.
Right. So tell us more. We've not finished with your journey. So you did this one webinar, and you were like, oh my God, I'm doing this. And then they opened the regional chapter, right, in your area, and like you said, you were voted in. No? People can't get rid of you now. How else? What other things have you done now with this responsibility that has led where you say, wow, that's really helping me grow, and I wouldn't have thought of that years before?
Yes. Now from there, as a leader now, I started taking roles. So to me, it's like the HQ leaders were preparing me for more greater roles to come. So like, okay, now we have blessed you, can go and do whatever you want to do. And our association. So from there now, in our chapter, we had to organize our own local trainings. You know, Yes, we are working under the associations, but the preparation of these trainings to teach teachers for into different methodologies and any theme of the training that we have planned, it is upon us. So we have to collect funds, we have to collaborate with the district leaders to let them know, to ask for permission. So as I've said, I started taking bigger roles into the association, and then we managed to do big two workshops on site. We collected some teachers into different schools in the same region. We go to the same region, but organizes different teachers to come together physically. Now we train them into different topics that we see that in our area needs to be addressed according to the needs of the teacher, like technology. In our area, many teachers they need this kind of education technology, so we train them how to use different tools, how to use educational apps, how to find their own materials. So I organized these kind of trainings, two big ones in our region so far. So this is the highest achievement I can say. Also, bringing teachers together in the same network, regional wise, because our region teachers are scattered with different geographical locations. So bringing them together under one roof, collaborating, working together, sharing different materials. That is something, yes, I do it passionately. I'm driven to do what I'm doing just without being paid. It's my passion to see that teachers come together, solve different challenges, share experience, collaborate. So that has been what I've been doing since I've become a leader. And I'm also organizing for another training, maybe this month. At the end of this month, we are going to do it in another district in our region. So having these kind of workshops and training to my fellow teachers is something that I didn't expect one day I could do them. Just from being a secondary school teacher, impacting for the students at my school only, but now I've taken it further to also sharing what I have with my colleagues, with my fellow teachers who I know them because of their background, how they are and everything. It is hard for them to have what I have. So I'm giving them back, Yes. So
I think that's really interesting what you're saying. I mean, here you're actually, what you're saying and what you're describing really is that you're kind of moving the teachers in your region out of the egg crate. Remember, we talked about that, teaching being an egg crate profession. So you're moving them out of the egg crate, and your story really resonates with me, and a lot of the things that you've said initially at the beginning, they've kind of come full circle now. Where you had said earlier also that the teaching associations, they're run, and I know this from practically, I'm not going to say 100% because somebody might find one somewhere that is not the case, but most teaching associations, I'd say 98% of them, they're run by volunteers, right? And
Yes,
you need
very
to
true.
have this kind of leadership. You need to have this leadership mentoring because people retire or move on to other pastures, and if you don't have that how would you say, that network or that conveyor belt of always new leaders coming in, and then the association's not going to be fit for purpose. Or another thing that you've said with the connection and the interaction, again, taking teachers out of their egg crate, their little hole in the egg crate. What you're saying is kind of identifying what's needed in your area, right?
Yes.
So your association's really for the teachers in your area. So you're supporting them by giving them that networking platform. You're supporting them by providing for them the professional development that they would need in this day and age and in their setting. Because somebody actually
Mm-mm.
says, excuse me, somebody did say to me once before, when I was in a different webinar, and the person said, well, you're talking about all of these things here, but that doesn't work where I am. And we forget, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
truly benefit, you really need to have this kind of leadership, and then being a leader yourself right now, being in this leadership role, that's really helped you, as you say, it's helped you grow professionally. My question though, and this is something people are going to ask, you sound like you do a lot of things, and then you have your full-time teaching job. Where do
Yes.
you find the time or the energy to do all of this?
Okay. And this is, I've just mentioned just a few things. I've not mentioned that I'm a part-time translator. I also teach Swahili to foreigners in our place. At some time I was a home baker, but now I've stopped for some reason. Yeah.
So where do you find the time to do that? You teach in school, you teach Swahili. I think I might reach out to you one day to learn some Swahili.
Yes.
And then you do all this work. Where do you find the hours? I mean, I know you live in Tanzania, but you and I, we both have 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
Or do you have more? And I don't know.
No. The same 24 hours. What I can say is that I love what I do. So whenever I do something, I'm devoted. I like working hard. So I have a schedule, and I'm also I'm married. I have 3 daughters. Yes. So I love working hard. I'm this kind of a person, I don't like sitting idle. So I have my schedule. I know at this time I'll be at school. Coming from school, I'll be maybe working part-time. If I'm not working part-time as a translator, I'll be working part-time in the association. If I'm not doing that, maybe I'll be reading online. If I'm not doing that, I'll be doing this and that. So I do all of them. Like, I have a schedule, so I know at what time I'll be doing what. So these have been helping me. Yes, it's true. Sometimes I get tired, and if I'm tired, I give myself a break. I come and say, okay, now I need to have a breath. I need to take some break so that I can come back again with new energy. So I give myself, yes, breaks. It's true. It's tiring. I admit that. But yes, whenever I feel exhausted, I take breaks, and then I come back with more energy, and then I push my things forward. Yeah. And I'm also this kind of teacher, as I've said, as a leader. It has driven me to work hard, because I need to mentor. I need to tell my fellow teachers that it can be done. So through these programs, they have molded me to be who I am today. And this drove me to apply now from online programs to different programs into different countries. For example, last year, yes, I went into 3 different countries. 2 in our continent. I went to Ethiopia, I went to Kenya last year, and also traveled to the US for the different programs that I'm doing. I also went to India. So whenever I call teachers together, I motivate them and say, you can also apply to this program. Look, they have transformed my classroom. Not only my classroom, but yes, they've also gave me the opportunity to travel. I've learned this and this and that. I've applied all of these. So to them, it's like, yes, I'm a eyewitness. Some are afraid, like, okay, these programs, but are they genuine? Are teacher really getting these programs? So if I stand and say, look at me, I went to this program, yes, I have applied, I've gone through all the processes, and now I am an alumni of this program. So it is true. Yes, if you're not applying, it's just you're not doing yourself justice. But these things are true, and look at me, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So yes, being where I am being placed as a leader give me the driving force of doing multiple things, like I need to stand back to my fellow teachers and have a testimony, have something to say. So as a leader, it drives you, or it forces you to work harder, because there are people on
They're
your
looking
back.
up to you, right?
Exactly. Yes.
They're
Mhm.
looking up to you. So I mean, I think it comes back also with what you said, at the beginning when I asked you, what makes you, want to really engage with your teaching association, what pushes you to do what you do. And you said that you have a growth mindset, and I think you can only grow if you have a growth mindset.
This show is
True.
brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Meet USA Study, your one-stop platform for guiding students through their college application journey. Access up-to-date resources on universities, programs, scholarships, and application requirements, all in one place. Get easy-to-access tools, personalised timelines, expert tips, application templates, and exclusive webinars with admissions officers to help your student stand out. Visit usastudy.co.uk or call Phil at 0800 612 8271, because every student deserves the opportunity to shine with USA Study.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us here today. We have been talking with Anne, who's shared her story of her engagement and her participation with her teaching association, and how that's really helped her to grow both professionally and personally. So
Yes.
this element of engaging with, so there's a difference between being a member of a teaching association and engaging with your teaching association. And as a closing message to all our listeners here live today, and a message to those who are going to listen back to our podcast, what would you say, or how would you answer the question, how can I take my membership further?
Yes.
How can I take my membership in my teaching association further? How can I make it work for me? What would you say?
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. As a teacher, as an educator, whenever you're engaged in any professional association, you need to have goals and ambition. Like, I've joined this association. What are the needs? What are the benefits am I going to get from the association? Not that just the association is going to do things for you, but also you need, like, see yourself upgrading, see yourself going into next level, growing with the association. So please kindly join an association that you see yourself, that you're willing to take roles, you're willing to work together with the association. I think
I like that.
Yes, if you are in that place, it is easy for you to do different things and take roles. But if you see yourself you cannot grow together with the association, maybe you're too big or you're too small, so it's better not to just be in that association. Yes, because you're just going to waste your time. When you are a member of the association, but you're not growing, you're not benefiting as a member of being in that association. So make sure you are in a place that you find yourself, you can do something together with the association. So associate, yes, being an association means to associate. Yes.
I like that, to associate. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Anne. That's all we have time for today. Thank you, Anne, for sharing your stories, for sharing your journey with us. It has been
Thank you
really
so much.
interesting. It has been really interesting hearing how you found support through your community of practice. And
Yes.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And remember, please like and subscribe to not to recover, but to receive notifications of upcoming shows. And if anybody here wants to be a guest and talk about anything related to teaching, English language teaching, teaching where you are, please reach out to us. If you want to reach me, Anne knows where to find me. So just throw it in there. We're always looking for guests. I'm always looking for guests. So thank you. Thank you for supporting Teachers Talk Radio. Thank you, Anne, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.